everybody caught up on power? Everybody, my power. Yeah, oh my goodness. Oh, we gotta wait till January. Man, I'm not happy about it. I am not happy that I have to wait till January to talk about power. You know, who you think killed him?
I don't know.
Or do you think he did?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
What power?
I don't think so. He's been going crazy lately. So my theory is that he is he's having another like dream or flashback. You know how he's seen Raina and what's an Angela. Yes, who is? Alright guys. Axial lateral resolution. Axial lateral resolution. What we talking about today? Mr. Silv, I'm on page 145. 145, guys. Alrighty. Good. Alright, so here goes the Monday motivation right here, guys. I'm gonna read it to you. Thanks to Dewey. He loves Monday motivation. This one here is about mental attitude. I picked these colors because I have the Joker in mind. These are the I have the Joker in mind when I picked this color scheme right here. Big, if you didn't know, big Batman fan. My goddaughter sent me this Batman necklace over the weekend, so I'm rocking it today. I'm rocking it all week, matter of fact. Okay? So, mental attitude, guys. I'm gonna read it to you, guys. Can't do it, never could do it, never will be able to do it. No one could do it. We don't have the right resources. We haven't been trained. We don't have the time. Man, these are some major excuses, right? We are full of excuses for why we can't do something, even before we've made one small effort to get it done. We will succeed, not with that attitude, but if we can take on the challenge with enthusiasm and energy, assuming that we're going to do just fine, we just might. I may not be able to change the tasks that need to get done, but I can change my approach to them. I like that line. I may not be able to change the tasks that need to get done, but I can change my approach to them, okay? Nothing can stop the man with the right mental attitude. Nothing can stop the man or woman with the right mental attitude from achieving his or her goal. Nothing on earth can help the man or woman with the wrong mental attitude. That's our guy, Thomas Jefferson. Big faces. Big.
You know why you like the last sentence?
Why is that?
Because it sounds like if you cannot find a good picture, have to find a better window.
I like that. I like that. That is so clever. That is so true. That is so true. That is so true. I love this right here, guys, because I really believe in a self-fulfilling prophecy. I really believe in a self-fulfilling prophecy to where if you think you're going to do bad, then you probably are going to do bad. So we all have to change our approach to how we think about accomplishing our goals and the tasks. Okay? So I really like this one for today, focusing on your mental attitude, guys. We have one of our students always thinking negative. I told you guys I don't like negativity. I'll stop talking to you. If you're being negative, I'm just gonna walk away from it. I don't want to deal with it, right? So I always tell her like, man, you gotta chill on that. Your negativity, it wears on me. It brings me down. You know what I mean? And now she's working on changing her attitude, and changing her approach to stuff. And now she has a much more positive outlook as far as like what can she get accomplished, and how she even does better. Just recently passed her SPI. So happy about that. So it doesn't matter how many times you take it, as long as you keep getting back on that horse per se, and keep trying to ride. All right, so I really like this one on mental attitude. That's our Monday motivation, guys, right here. All right, questions?
Yes.
I didn't want to leave our women out. Yes, or our others. Go ahead.
Can you talk to us about the SPI? Like,
what about it?
we're finishing the semester this month by the next semester, right?
Mm-hmm.
So would you recommend to take the exam? Like,
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that when we get there. We ain't talking about that right now.
Right after.
We got a whole nother semester of physics to talk about. You got the main resource right in front of you. That's that book right there. If you know this book, you're gonna pass 100%.
Focus on near zone land.
100%. But at the same time, we're gonna get more in depth talking about that next semester. Right now, I want you to know about axial and lateral resolution and focusing.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So our objectives. I hope you guys aren't trying to study for the SPI right now. There's so much stuff you don't know about ultrasound. It won't do you any good because we haven't talked about it. We can talk about. I'm sure you know about Doppler, but do you know what Doppler is? So it does no point for you to be studying for that right now until we get to those, and I can give you some good explanation and give you better resources. All right. So this chapter right here, guys, chapter 10, axial and lateral resolution. We already know what that is. Okay. So we're going to define resolution, guys. We're going to define what resolution is. We're going to describe and discuss axial and lateral resolution and the effects of focusing. What does focusing help, guys? Which resolution does focusing help improve? Lateral resolution. Why?
Because
Because it's in the focus, maybe the anatomy is within the center of focus.
Okay, I like that. I like that. I like that. But it makes the beam narrower. That's just a simple term. It makes the beam narrow. When you focus the beam, it makes the beam narrower. Okay. So now we're gonna kind of talk about, when we get the focus, we're gonna kind of talk about more of our electronic focusing, which is what we use. Okay. We already talked about last chapter sound beams from the standpoint of a single element unfocused transducer, right? Continuous wave. Okay. Now we're gonna kind of talk about how we use our focusing, because with our focusing there are multiple focuses. You can have multiple focuses on one image. So it's gonna send the beam out 3 beams even more. Okay? So therefore, instead of just having great lateral resolution in the center of the image where we put our focus, I can put another focus on the top of the image, I can put another focus on the bottom part of the image. So now I have a narrow beam throughout. Okay? Alright. So
When you say our focusing, are you talking about post?
phase the rate. Remember, phase the rate
Phase the
means
rate.
what, guys?
Just focus.
Adjustable focus or multi-focus. Okay? Adjustable or multi-focus. Phase the rate. Adjustable or multi-focus. Guys, if you're taking notes, again, you know I like simplification. This is how you should be taking notes, right here. Right here. Alright? So that's all this chapter is about. Axial resolution, lateral resolution, and focusing. Okay? 3 types of focusing. Right there, I gave you already. Okay? If you ever see me use res, that's short for resolution, okay? Res is short for resolution. Okay? So resolution, guys, resolution is simply the ability to create accurate images. Okay? The ability to create accurate images. Okay? When the image is not created accurately, we get artifacts. That's how we get artifacts, such as acoustic enhancement, such as shadowing. Those are the 2 artifacts you guys know about right now. There's about 30 artifacts you guys have to learn. Alright? So, image accuracy is the essence of ultrasound, right? Because suppose we don't have the correct spatial resolution and my IVC is now on the right, is now on the left and my aorta is on the right. Okay? Or if I'm scanning anterior posterior, now my kidney's anterior and my liver's posterior. Okay? So we really need our image to be accurate, and image accuracy is the essence of ultrasound, okay? Because otherwise, our measurements and things of that nature would not be valid if we didn't have great accuracy within our images. All right? So again, resolution, the ability to create accurate images. That is what basically resolution is. Okay? What resolution does is describe image accuracy. Okay? Therefore, that lends us to different forms of resolution, guys. There's many forms of resolution that we're going to be learning about. I'm going to be teaching you about. This chapter right here just happens to focus on axial and lateral resolution. Okay? But there are also different kinds. Spatial resolution, which is just making sure the accuracy of putting anatomy in its correct place. Okay? Spatial resolution, temporal resolution, accuracy and timing. Okay? You use temporal resolution when you're using M mode. When you're doing M mode, we're going to talk about M mode in chapter 11, display modes. That's where temporal resolution comes into effect. Also, the more applications you use on your images, such as if I use pulse wave Doppler, if I use color Doppler, that's affecting my temporal resolution. It's making my imaging slower, right? Because it's making my machine work even harder. So instead of just 2D or bead mode scanning, where I'm just sending out single beams, get this sent out, it goes through the anatomy, get those reflections, come back to the transducer. Now, every time I add an application, pulse wave Doppler, color Doppler, now it's sending out 3 beams that have to go and come back to create this one image. So of course it takes more time to create those images, affecting our temporal resolution. Okay? Then we have elevational resolution, guys. Elevational or slice thickness resolution. Okay? That's just the opposite of lateral resolution, you know, whereas lateral resolution is about the width of the beam, elevational resolution is about those off-axis sound beams, above and below the sound beam. Okay? Guys, we're not gonna go into depth on those right now. I'm just kind of giving you an overview. All right? And then we have axial resolution and lateral resolution. This chapter right here is gonna focus on the latter, okay? Axial and lateral resolution. Okay? But those are just different forms, even more forms of resolution than those right there. Okay? Ooh, axial resolution, guys. That's up first. Okay? So I kept a similar format where I made a flashcard for you guys. Axial resolution is simply measure the ability to display two structures that are very close together when the structures are parallel to the sound beam's main axis. Okay? Front to back. Anterior, posterior. Actually, it depends on where you have the transducer, right? Because if I'm scanning on the lateral side, then I'm no longer scanning anterior, posterior. Like if I'm doing the spleen, right? First thing I'm going to hit is the spleen. Then deeper than that, I might hit the aorta, IVC, all of that. So now, you know, I'm going deeper this way instead of going this way. Okay? So it's going to affect the anatomy that's parallel to the beam's main axis. Okay? So all of these structures right here, these are reflectors. All of these are going to be parallel to the beam's main axis. See how they're in a line, in the same direction as the beam. Okay? Sweet. All right. So the reflectors are positioned one in front of the other, such as I always like to use the liver and the kidney. Right? They're all, when we scan anterior, posterior, they're always kidneys posterior, liver's anterior. All right. It answers the question, guys, what is the minimum distance that two structures positioned front to back or parallel can be apart and still produce two distinct echoes on an ultrasound image? Okay? Because remember, we talked about that the other day. If our spatial pulse length isn't short enough, then these two structures that are this close, for instance, they're going to be represented as one single structure. Okay? So it's basically asking you, based on the spatial pulse length, what is the minimum distance that these structures can be apart and still be represented as one, as individual structures? Okay? So it's right here, I have it on the board right there. Beam direction, these structures are parallel to the beam. All right? Any questions, guys?
So they represent axial resolution.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Axial resolution is front to back.
That answers it.
Absolutely. Okay. Get with me. Give me some time. Give me some time. All right. Okay. So our synonyms, guys. This is super duper important. Super duper important. All right. You have to know the synonyms to your axial and lateral resolution, or any resolution, because almost all of them have synonymous terms. Okay. They have a mnemonic phrase for axial resolution, guys. The phrase is LARD. Okay. LARD. If you remember axial resolution, remember LARD. Easy to remember because if you remember the lateral resolution is ladder, kind of sounds like the word. You can easily remember that this one is LARD. Okay? L-A, I messed up. R-R-D. L-A-R-R-D. I'm saying that right now while it's on my mind. There we go. Barnaz, get your picture again. LARD, guys, L-A-R-R-D, stands for longitudinal, axial, range, radial, and depth resolutions. All describe axial resolution. Okay? Longitudinal makes sense, right? Because ultrasound waves are longitudinal waves, right? They affect particles parallel to the beam. When they move particles in the body, they move from front to back, right? Mm-hmm. Moving front to back, right? Unlike transverse waves that move particles vertical, up and down, yep. Okay? Perpendicular to the beam. Okay? So those terms kind of match up. All right. So again, this is our mnemonic phrase for axial resolution: LARD, longitudinal, axial, range, radial, and depth resolution. Okay? Axial resolution is reported in units of distance, more specifically millimeters. All right. You already know what it's determined by, guys. is determined by the spatial pulse length. Okay? The spatial pulse length is determined by both the source and the medium. Okay? What else is determined by the source and the medium? What other parameter? Just the continuous wave parameter determined by the source and the medium. Anybody? Wavelength. Wavelength is also determined by the source and the medium. Okay? Spatial pulse length determines axial resolution. All right? Also, pulse duration is related to axial resolution, right? Because if we have a short spatial pulse length, we're gonna also have a short pulse duration. Correct? Correct? Right? Okay. So in ultrasound, guys, I have hooked our image back up. Spatial pulse length right here. Short pulses improve axial resolution. Right? We like that. That's why we have a damping element to the transducer, because we need it to shorten our pulses. Okay? Medium short duration pulses also have short length to improve axial resolution. Okay? Remember, we like our pulses short in time and length. Okay? For the best axial resolution. Remember, I gave you guys a question on the last test, and it was asking you which one of these transducers has the highest axial resolution. Right? It was the highest frequency one, right? Because those are going to have the shortest pulses. Okay? The higher frequency is going to have the shortest wavelengths. Correct? Because frequency and wavelength are inversely related. So we have a higher frequency transducer, we're going to have short wavelengths. Okay?